Absolutely not. Let me be unequivocally clear about that. And watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy.
Karoline Leavitt just dropped another legal bombshell right in the heart of the View set, and the studio descended into pure chaos. Whoopi's pacing like she's piecing together a crime scene. Joy's shouting like she's auditioning for Broadway. And Sunny? She's eyeing the emergency exits like they hold the answers. Meanwhile, the producers are scrambling, probably Googling how to dodge a lawsuit at warp speed. But Karoline isn't just throwing around legal threats. She's practically building a brand on them. Is this a calculated political chess move, or are we just tuning in for another episode of Lawsuits and Lattes? One thing's for sure, the courtroom popcorn industry is hitting an all-time high.
These women are completely out of touch with reality. And you're right, ABC should wake up. They just paid $15 million to President Trump's future library. That's a great thing for the American people.
The moment the news hit, chaos erupted. Producers scrambled, whispering into headsets like they were orchestrating a high-stakes hostage negotiation. Lawyers seemed to materialize out of thin air, and the live audience, they weren't sure if they were watching a daytime talk show or a real-life legal thriller unfold before their eyes. And then came the internet. Within minutes, X, was in flames, flooded with memes capturing Whoopi's stunned reaction. TikTok detectives got to work, dissecting every frame like they were uncovering some deep state conspiracy. Meanwhile, Karoline, cool as ever, probably sipping her coffee while casually dismantling The View's legal defenses. This wasn't just a lawsuit, it was a warning shot. If the show thought they'd seen controversy before, they're about to get a front row seat to a legal storm like never before.
All right, as we were just talking about, Harris's supporters and members of the liberal media, they're apparently shattered and in disbelief over Trump's win. Here is some of that reaction.
At this point, Karoline suing The View is practically an annual tradition, right up there with pumpkin spice season and celebrity meltdowns on social media. But this time, it's even messier, even spicier, and packed with more drama than a reality TV reunion that's completely derailed. So what's Karoline's latest legal gripe? Buckle up, because this lawsuit isn't just about defamation or media bias. It's shaping up to be a full-blown courtroom circus. Apparently, she's officially out of patience with The View's hosts and their unfiltered commentary. Translation? They said something live on air that sent her straight to her attorney. And if we know The View, the moment probably came with a signature Joy Behar eye roll, a Whoopi Goldberg sigh, and a half-baked legal hot take that had Karoline speed dialing. Her lawyer, before the commercial break even ended,
really had much to say until he started running for president. Then I could say everything I needed to say. My face.
But here's where it gets juicy. This isn't Karoline's first rodeo with The View. Last time it was all about media bias and misrepresentation. But now, she's back, and this time, the gloves are off. She's accusing the show of spreading outright falsehoods about her political stance, career, and credibility, claims she insists aren't just misleading but intentionally damaging. And if she wins, well, The View might have to rebrand itself as the Apology Tour.
From all sides of the aisle, I'll also say that if you talk to analysts of debates previous, that if you're attacking the moderators, you're usually losing. What do you expect from Joe Biden?
Well, first of all, it takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently,
we're going to stop this interview if you're going to keep
President
attacking
Trump
my colleagues.
Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you...
But here's the bigger question. Is Karoline genuinely on a mission to hold the media accountable, or is she just enjoying the spotlight a little too much? Some argue she's fighting for fairness in political discourse. Others think she's turned suing The View into her own personal performance art piece. Either way, she's got everyone talking. And let's be real. When was the last time a courtroom battle had this much drama? At this point, it's not just a lawsuit. It's practically must-watch TV.
I have the right to say what I say.
Yes.
He has the right to say what he says. And whether he believes, I know you, Joy, stop that. You know, stop it.
I'm looking at Brian.
No, I know, but I can see you, and I know that you want to get in here, and you know I'll always make sure that you do.
Yeah. I'm watching the clock.
Yeah. Well, like me, I watch the clock every day, but I'm going to finish this because it's one of the few times I'm getting into.
Whether Karoline Leavitt is out for justice, revenge, or simply relishing the spotlight, one thing is clear. The View won't be running their mouths unchecked anymore. And if they do, she'll see them in court again. If the hosts thought they could laugh this off and cut to commercial, they were in for a rude awakening. The second Karoline's lawsuit hit the news, the studio turned into a full-blown crisis zone. The control room? Chaos. Producers scrambled, lawyers were on speed dial, and the air shifted from daytime gossip to full-scale damage control. Then there was Whoopi Goldberg, usually the steady voice of reason, but this time, she was feeling the heat. With a deep sigh, she adjusted her glasses, locked eyes with the camera, and braced for the legal hurricane heading their way. You could almost see the calculations running through her head.
I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all
That's a
agree on
given.
that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
They agree with you.
She doesn't want to be the first lady. She destroyed the Rose Garden. Who hates Christmas? Melania Trump hates Christmas. She doesn't want to decorate for Christmas. She doesn't want to have anything to do with him.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him. She can't tolerate him.
Allegedly.
And she does.
Yeah, how do you know all this?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know.
You don't know all this.
Allegedly.
Was this the moment to speak out, or was silence the safer bet? Was Whoopi about to drop some profound wisdom, or was she seriously considering walking off set entirely? No one knew. The audience held their breath. And then there was Joy Behar. True, to form, she handled the legal bombshell the only way she knows how, with biting sarcasm. The second the lawsuit was mentioned, she leaned back in her chair, arms crossed, and muttered just loud enough for the mic to catch it.
Transparency and access. And while we will expose the fake news when they are fake, we will hold them accountable for their lies and smears of President Trump.
Oh, great! Another lawsuit. The sarcasm was thick. But even Joy couldn't completely hide the tension creeping in. Meanwhile, Sunny Hostin, the legal expert of the panel, was noticeably more measured. She's been around the legal block, and if anyone understood the potential fallout, it was her. She scrolled through her phone, likely scanning the lawsuit details in real time, her eyes narrowing as she absorbed the accusations. Was she already preparing a counter-argument for the next episode, looking for a way to downplay the drama? Or was she realizing that this lawsuit might actually have some weight? One thing was clear. While the others reacted with jokes and frustration, Sunny wasn't laughing. She was in full-on crisis management mode.
Media elite will no longer decide who gets a seat. Our video of the day comes to us from White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt, who is shaken up, who gets to ask questions of the press. Roll it, Helga.
For decades, a group of D.C.-based journalists, the White House Correspondents Association, has long dictated which journalists get to ask questions of the President of the United States. Not anymore. We are going to give the power back to the people.
Backstage, the atmosphere wasn't any better. Staffers spoke in hushed tones, some strategizing damage control, others just trying to gauge how bad this really was. Whispers spread. Could this finally be the lawsuit that forced The View into a public retraction? Or worse, could it lead to a major shakeup on the panel? And the internet? Oh, it was thriving. Within minutes, Twitter, or X, whatever we're calling it these days, was on fire. Memes of Whoopi's stunned expression flooded timelines, while TikTok exploded with stitched clips of the moment the lawsuit news hit. Everyone had an opinion. Was Karoline a fearless warrior taking on media bias? Or was she just milking the controversy for all it was worth? Some called her a hero, others accused her of turning lawsuits into personal PR stunts. But one thing was undeniable: she had the world watching.
How do you prepare for a moment like that?
Well, first of all, I look forward to it, and I relish the opportunity to bring the truth and the facts to the podium. And unfortunately, the mainstream media has been blinded by this bias, this anti-Trump bias. And it's actually quite sad, because rather than dealing with people who are truly interested in journalistic integrity and finding out the truths and the facts, they're coming into that room with a preconceived narrative and bias. The president speaks the truth, he speaks his mind directly. It's just my job to prepare and figure out what the truth is versus what the fake.
Should I start budgeting for legal fees in my taxes? Classic Joy, cracking jokes while probably sweating bullets inside. Meanwhile, Sunny Hostin had switched into full courtroom mode. You could practically see the legal gears turning as she prepped the defense before the lawsuit even officially hit their desks. Technically speaking, she was already drafting arguments in her head. And the producers? Full-on meltdown. One was barking orders into a headset. Another was doom-scrolling Twitter, or X, to gauge the damage. And a third was probably on hold with legal, silently praying for a miracle, because the internet was already on fire. The second the news broke, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram exploded. Memes of Whoopi's stunned face flooded timelines with captions like, "When you realize your paycheck is about to be spent on legal fees." The lawsuit wasn't just making headlines, it had officially become the moment, and with Karoline Leavitt turning up the heat, The View was in full-blown crisis mode. This wasn't their first rodeo in legal warfare. Far from it. Oh no, this was a rematch. And if there's one thing everyone knows about sequels, it's that they're always messier, wilder, and packed with even more.
There are only two genders, male and female. My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be.
So if he's sending all the criminals away, where is he going? And what better way to unify the country than by ripping families apart and punishing anyone who doesn't fall in line?
Clearly, they hadn't learned their lesson the first time, because here we were again. Another lawsuit, another Category 5 controversy, and yet another internet meltdown. The real question now was what came next. Would the hosts brush it off like nothing happened? Would they address it head-on and turn the lawsuit into must-see TV? Or were we about to witness the most chaotic, lawsuit-fueled episode in daytime history? One thing was undeniable. The View had just become the hottest show on television, but for all the wrong reasons. In an instant, Twitter, X, whatever it's called now, erupted into a digital battlefield. Hashtags like Viewgate, Leavitt, versus talk show and daytime drama shot to the top of trending lists. Meme creators wasted no time flooding timelines with pure internet gold. Whoopi's stunned expression was already circulating with the caption, "When HR says we need to talk." Meanwhile, Joy's classic smirk had been repurposed with, "When you know you're about to say something reckless anyway." Social media wasn't just reacting, it was devouring every second of the chaos.
Well, ABC News has agreed to settle a defamation lawsuit that Donald Trump filed against them. The network will pay Trump $15 million, which will go towards his presidential library, and $1 million for Trump's attorney.
Then the late-night comedians jumped in, turning their monologues into full-fledged courtroom parodies. Was The View now just a daytime soap opera? Would next season be rebranded as Law & Order Talk Show Edition? The debate took on a life of its own. Was Karoline exposing media bias? Or was this all just a well-calculated PR move? Political analysts clashed, conspiracy theories spiraled, and one thing became painfully clear. No matter where people stood, nobody could look away. This drama had officially outgrown daytime TV. It had transcended social media hysteria. It was now a full-scale courtroom saga. The gavel hadn't even dropped yet, but the tension was already hotter than a Florida sidewalk in July. Karoline Leavitt's lawsuit tore through the media like a wildfire hitting a gas station, leaving The View in complete and utter chaos. But the real question wasn't just about who would win, it was about what would happen next. Would this be the lawsuit that finally made daytime talk shows rethink how they handled politics? Or was this just the start of an even bigger, messier, headline-grabbing battle? One thing was undeniable. This wasn't some petty squabble. This was war, and neither side was backing down. If The View was panicking behind the scenes, they weren't about to let it show on camera. These hosts had spent years taking swings at politicians, celebrities, and even each other, all in front of millions. They thrived on controversy, but a courtroom? That was an entirely different battleground. ABC's legal team was already working, over time, scrambling to craft a strategy. Would they take the easy way out, settle quietly, cut Karoline a hefty check, and hope the whole thing faded into the background? Or were they gearing up for an all-out legal brawl, ready to fight this, one until the very end? Or would they take the scorched earth route, turning the lawsuit into a full-blown legal spectacle just to make a statement? If ABC chose to fight, things could spiral out of control fast. Depositions, brutal cross-examinations, behind-the-scenes, drama dragged into the public eye. Suddenly, The View wouldn't just be covering the news, they would be the news. And let's be honest, there was no chance Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar were going to sit quietly through it. These two had built their careers on speaking their minds, and a lawsuit wasn't going to change that. But what if ABC didn't fight? What if they decided this lawsuit was more trouble than it was worth, and opted for a quiet settlement? Would that set a precedent, signaling that political figures could start suing talk shows into silence? Karoline Leavitt, now serving as the White House press secretary, was clearly getting under The View's skin. She was doing her job too well, and the hosts weren't handling it gracefully. Their disdain was palpable, and Joy Behar wasted no time offering her take on why Leavitt had been chosen for the role.
I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though. It's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Okay, so that lady, the fake Republican on The View, she's kind of defending Karoline Leavitt here. She realizes Joy Behar has gone a little too far. What's Behar saying? She only got that job because she's hot. That actually isn't true. She's a very nice looking lady, but it isn't true that that's why she got the job. She got the job because she was the national spokesman for the campaign, and she did a very good job in that role. And the campaign was hugely successful and communicated very effectively. That is why she got the job. Even if Karoline Leavitt weren't a pretty lady, even if she were a male, gremlin, monstrous looking fellow, she still would have gotten the job based on how effective the campaign communications.
Could this be the dawn of a new era in media? One where every disgruntled guest dials up their lawyer instead of clapping back with a fiery tweet? Would opinion-driven TV start losing its bite, dulled by the looming threat of litigation? The stakes weren't just high, they were transformative. This wasn't just about The View anymore. This was about what happens when unfiltered television collides with the legal system. Let's be real, talk shows thrive on controversy. That's why people watch. Viewers don't tune in for polite, pre-approved discussions. They want the chaos, the heated debates, the moments that go off the rails. But if this lawsuit set a dangerous precedent, could it smother every unscripted moment from here on out? Imagine a world where every host had to pause mid-rant, shoot a glance at the producer, and legally fact-check their own opinions before speaking. Instead of fiery debates, we'd be watching a law school seminar on risk management. No more off-the-cuff, political jabs, no more spontaneous shade, just a parade of carefully crafted, legally approved sound bites. Would networks start making hosts sign NDAs just to prevent former guests from dragging them into court? Would talk shows lose their edge entirely, watered down into sanitized, risk-free programming designed to offend absolutely no one? Would they require pre-screened questions just to avoid igniting the next legal firestorm? Or, here's an even wilder thought, could they push for legal immunity, allowing them to say whatever they wanted without fear of lawsuits? If that ever happened, would talk shows finally regain their bite, or would the unchecked chaos turn them into an even bigger legal battlefield? Karoline's lawsuit wasn't just about The View, it was about the future of unscripted television. And if anyone thought this was a one-off, they clearly weren't paying attention. She had already made waves once, and now she was back for another round. But what was her real objective? Was she setting a precedent, proving that talk shows couldn't target politicians without facing consequences? Was she shaping her image as the fearless politician who refuses to back down, whether it's against TV networks, media elites, or anyone else? Or was this part of a larger strategy? Because one thing is certain, lawsuits don't just spark legal battles, they generate headlines. And in politics, visibility is power. Could this be a carefully orchestrated move? A stepping stone to something bigger? A book deal? A high-profile media role? A future political campaign? If she wins, she won't just be a political figure. She'll be a media disruptor, proving that even the most powerful talk shows aren't untouchable. And that alone makes her a serious threat. Because if she can take down The View, what's stopping her from going after other networks? The real twist? No one knows how this ends. It could wrap up with a quiet settlement, explode into a high-profile trial, or take an unexpected turn no one saw coming. One thing's for sure, this fight isn't over. If The View backs down, it could force every talk show to rethink how they handle political guests. If Karoline wins, it might completely change how politicians challenge the media. And if this lawsuit snowballs into something even bigger, let's just say popcorn sales are about to hit an all-time high. Love the drama or hate it, you can't look away. Make sure to like this video, subscribe for more updates, and drop a comment with your thoughts. What's really going on here? See you in the next one.